Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat, and you can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter, and you can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
We break it out once in a while, folks.
Every now and then. And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, 1 Aiden_70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us tonight when you might be keeping track of the NFL draft going on right now. I've got it on in the background on mute, but moving on.
Sports ball. Who needs sports ball? You got comic books, and that's why we're here tonight, folks. And you can find here on the Cold Slither Podcast Network, that's cspn.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us in your podcast place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page. You can find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. On the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/The Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and hit the notification button. Oh, and leave all the good reviews.
Yeah. And speaking of hitting things, we're going to hit the ground running with a quick episode recap for Moon Knight, episode 5.
Yeah, seriously, spoilers incoming if you have not watched episode 5 of Moon Knight. There were very many revelations. So Moon Knight spoilers incoming in 3, 2, 1. Episode 5 is titled, goodness gracious, what is this thing titled?
Asylum.
Asylum. And it is not, political asylum. We're talking about an asylum for the mentally, let's just say, mentally ill.
Yeah, psych ward stuff, y'all. Which most of the episode ends up taking. Whoa, what is going on there? Most of the episode kind of takes, or at least half of the episode takes place in psych ward, or at least, it is so thought. So, we begin with, we basically begin at the end of the last episode with Mark and Steven meeting the hippo lady. And not the hippo lady, the lady with the head of the god with the head of a hippo, named Tawaret. Yes, exactly. Hi. Which I forgot I meant to pull to see whose voice that is, because that voice sounded familiar and I have no idea whose it was.
It's not. It wouldn't be. I looked up who the actress was. It's not. I don't think someone you would recognize. Sure. It's because I did look this up. Antonia Salib. I don't think that name rings a bell. Okay. Although it could be.
No, I don't. Okay, but the voice definitely sounds familiar. It sounded familiar though, so it definitely wasn't who I was. Oh yeah, and there's a it's right here on the side of the thing
in our notes, right? Yeah. In the handy dandy Marvel whatchamacallit log.
So apparently they are at Putnam Psychiatric Ward, which apparently is the name that was from the name of the psych ward that was in Jeff Lemire and Greg Smallwood's run. Like I said, it was Steven. They meet up with Tawaret. She's explaining to them the journey and how they have to get their hearts weighed against a feather of Mott, which we had kind of had heard in an episode in the past, but apparently the scales are still teetering because obviously, Mark and Steven have their own issues, specifically Mark in particularly. And the majority of this here episode is basically them unpacking Mark's trauma.
Right.
Mark's
Heretofore unknown to those of us who are familiar with the Mark Spector character. At least, to those of us who have read the read about the character on and off for the past several decades. But, I cannot say that I was the most faithful, page by page Moon Knight reader.
right.
So I don't know if they pulled any of the stuff from the comic books. Roddykat, I don't know if you know that.
Well, like I said before,
Because we talked about this just before the show.
Right. Like I said before the show, is not there are parallels, but it is definitely not a one-to-one. They have taken a couple of liberties, because in the comics, while he's in this psych ward, it's it's him with all of his aspects, and they're trying to escape and that kind of situation. And there's nothing about what we end up finding out to be some childhood trauma with a death of an accidental death of his little brother, which that is not from the comics as far as I can remember, because as far as I know, Mark doesn't have any family.
Oh no, you know what? A simple Google search. Obviously, folks, we do a lot in between watching the show and preparing for the show. Randall Spector actually is a previously created character in Moon Knight, but apparently the Randall character did not die when they were young, but rather became estranged, and he actually becomes another character that Mark as Moon Knight has to fight. But apparently that was also retconned away.
Oh, right. So I think he's supposed to be like the Shadow Knight or something like that. But anyway, regardless,
right. But that's the point, is that it's not a one-to-one translation of any previous comic book story, but rather, an interpretation of Mark Spector having a brother. This was, like I said, heretofore unbeknownst to me that this even existed. So Roddykat at least knew that this character existed previously.
Right, but also knew that that what they did in this episode, like I said, while there are parallels to the comic book run, are definitely is not a one-to-one, as we'll say.
Right, the Lemire, what he's referring to is the Lemire Moon Knight run from relatively recently.
Right. So so really, there's not much else to say about this episode outside of the fact that, like I said, we basically we see Mark trying to keep Steven away from finding out about his past, and more specifically to Steven finding out that Steven's not real, because as we who know the comics know, Steven is an aspect of Mark's DID, or is an aspect of Mark's DID. Steven did not know that in this show, which he ends up finding that out, unfortunately. And that gets dealt with in a not necessarily completely similar to the comic book run, but it definitely, like I said, the parallel is there near the end of this episode. So, and as I think has been pointed out in like probably a couple of videos out there somewhere, like this is just like the other Marvel shows. They pretty much get to this point and it's like, well, now they're unpacking all of this stuff about their past, and now they're turning the corner, and this is no different, because at the end of this, when it's all said and done, we see Mark at the end of it coming out of the other side, or presumably coming out of the other side, better, worse for Mark. That's kind of a
right. The funny part about this is that the episode ends not where we expect it to end.
Right.
And it does not leave us with a clear path into the next episode, which, as far as we know, is the final episode and may very well be the last time we see the Moon Knight character. So it definitely, is a cliffhanger ending. It's definitely in that style, because it does not leave us with an immediate sense of what's going to happen next.
Right. Now, it also makes me curious as to how much longer, if by much, the next episode is going to be, because they still have to deal with the fact that, hey, Mark's still, dead, which, Khonshu's still not around, so they got to kind of deal with that, which they can. I mean, in an hour's time they could do both, but
well, because they're still well. What it comes down to is that Layla is still in play, who we do not see at all in this episode.
Right, but she did get mentioned.
And with that character, right, with that character being an active participant in the story, that I think is going to be the avenue that that they use to free Khonshu.
Right.
And that's how I believe Moon Knight is going to return. How they resolve the Amit story with Arthur Harrow, that's something else. So we'll see how that hour's worth of story plays out.
Right. I think the one thing I've really noticed in this episode is they name drop the similar plane of the underworld from the Black Panther.
The ancestral plane.
The ancestral plane. Yeah, excuse me. So I was like, oh yeah, that was great. I was happy to hear that.
I mean, that's talk about synergy, right? And it makes perfect sense that they would try to show some form of connectivity without exactly laying out how it's connected.
Right. And
just saying that it exists is enough, because because we're all under the impression that this is happening in the same continuity, the same MCU. I forget what the number is. It's not the 616, but whatever the MCU reality is.
It's like 19999, something like that. But regardless, but the reason why I bring that up also is because I know there have been like speculation that's just like, well, he's the Egyptian gods, and then Bast is an Egyptian god, but Bast hasn't been mentioned, and that's a tie to to this and Black Panther and blah 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 blah. Where here's another more direct tie that actually did come up. And I think the two things that we wanted, or at least the two things that I've felt like we wanted out of this particular episode, did happen. As in the name Bushman, that name did get dropped as the to get basically who Mark was working for, and end up getting betrayed by, basically. So that did happen, even though if it wasn't a person, we saw on screen doing it. And then of course there was the statue, the classic, almost in the classic version of Khonshu that we see Mark laying in front of near the end, near his near-death experience. When they were
it's essentially a 1-to-1 of the comic book, the original comic book origin of Mark Spector, before we've seen all of the recent retcons and filling in some of the gaps over the last, let's say, like 5 to 10 years for Moon Knight. But what Roddykat mentioned is, what was nice to see, that that's the nitty-gritty basics of the Mark Spector origin. Seeing the massacre of that group, the treachery from Bushman, and then Mark Spector making his way, near death to the point where Khonshu discovers him, in front of the, as Roddykat said, in front of that nice, kind of traditional looking statue.
Right. So, yeah, outside of that, like I said, there was some stuff that we don't necessarily need to go get into with this.
Yeah, because there's a lot, right? If you really wanted to go blow by blow, there's a lot of stuff that develops and happens in this story. That's why we're kind of using the broadest strokes possible when we're talking about this episode, because there's just a lot. Right. And there are a lot of plot threads that get picked up on in this episode. Everything from where Later's Gators comes from to some childhood trauma that, like I said before, unbeknownst to all of us, was around in the Mark Spector history, that we presume has been created for the MCU version, and it won't be long before we see it in the pages of the Marvel comics. Let's just put it that way.
Right. And there seemed to be, and even the implication, which has gone kind of going back and forth in the comics, I think, whether Khonshu was the one who put Mark in that situation, basically uh made him for lack of a better word, crazy. And I don't know that's not the word to be using right now, but basically giving Mark his dissociative ID disorder at a young age.
Really?
That was, well, that has been a thing rumored and theoried about, and even in this particular episode, they I think Steven even had a line basically saying like Mark is they kind of make it the implications that, well, Mark has already had this, but Khonshu was using it, which was the other side of that. Like, was
right,
Mark...
that's the way I read that. Right, that's the way I interpreted that, is that he detected the fracturing in the psyche,
right.
you know, the dissociative identity disorder,
right.
and, you know, exploited however Khonshu meant to exploit that. You know, he uses the mercenary side to the best, you know, to maximize his fist of Khonshu's effectiveness. So
but
that's, you know, that's the way I read that. But I kind of got a kick out of Steven saying, oh, he's totally playing you, he's manipulating you. And part of me is thinking, of course he is. Mark Spector is near death. He doesn't want to die though at this point, so he will, you know, he's willing to do just about anything and promise anything to do so. And at this point in life, he's also kind of moved away from his, you know, his previous faith. They do in fact acknowledge that he grew up Jewish, you know. So it was very interesting, you know, to see how a lot of these plot threads got weaved together. So, you know, anyone who's looking to watch this episode, be prepared to, you know, maybe hit pause and try to remember where all this stuff is connecting, and how it's all connecting, and then, you know, just keep going and see. I don't know if you're going to be willing to watch this twice, you know, unless you missed something, but this is definitely full of exposition and full of explanation. You know, that is what this episode is chock full of. Not nuts, but exposition and explanation.
Which is, I know, kind of funny, because I know there are people out there who have complained about the last couple of episodes because he didn't get in the suit. He wasn't in the suit. Like, they were weak episodes because he wasn't in the suit. I'm like, really? And they're probably going to levy that same stupid argument for this episode also.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a stupid argument. It's about your expectations, you know, because I personally would rather see more punching and pew pew, you know, involving the suit, but understanding that this is an origin story. You have to have that particular expectation that they're going to explore their characters, like, kind of deep-seated traumas, or, you know, going back in time and looking at things in multiple flashbacks. So you have to keep that in mind. Right. No, but my point is, you have to keep that in mind and, you know, temper those expectations of the kicking, punching, and the pew pew probably until the last episode, which is when we're going to get it.
Yes. Oh, hopefully we should get a lot of it then. But, you know, like I said, I'm with it both. I'm all right with it. I'm like, I don't think the episodes are weak just because there's no kicking and punching or whatnot. Like, I love a good exposition episode if it's actually furthering things, which, you know, which it has been. So
right. And as I said, it's an origin story. You have to temper those expectations. So
yeah. But like I said, it's the casual folks. Regardless, it was a good episode, I thought. And
yeah, and you worry a little bit, and, you know, I'll you know, we'll move on from this. I will just say that you worry just a touch that the casuals get left behind, because we're not, you know, we are obviously maybe not steeped in the lore, but we're definitely familiar with it. So is that a reason why we're able to more easily tolerate this, because we're expecting it, and they're not as easily amenable to it?
Right. That's probably, yeah, likely. That is a good likely case. Sure. That's an acceptable case. But either way,
right. You know, like, you can definitely argue that point, and I think it's a fair point to make.
Oh yeah, totally. So yeah, so we're gonna move on. Because like I said, it's, as Agent 7 said, there was a lot to it, but at the same time, it was kind of I don't want to say cut and dry, but it was kind of here we started from here, we got in here, we're now here
Right.
type of story.
Right, and there's plenty of crazy concepts in here too, with the undead realm of doubt, or yeah, in or no, what is it? You know, is it doubt?
Wait, what are you talking about?
The undead realm in Egyptian lore, where they're traveling.
Oh, the Aduit or Doit or something like
Dewey.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, there's so much. You know, there's a boat, and I joked about this before we started. There's a boat riding on sand that they can steer, and Mark is looking to kill Towerette because they want to take the boat and turn around. There's so many little things in this episode that it just gets really crazy. So, you know, you just have to bear with us. You know, the broadest strokes, I think, is the best way to talk about this episode, you know, in this format. If you wanted, you know, a blow by blow, we could do that, but that would be an entire episode unto itself.
Yeah, it's like I said, this was not the episode that would necessarily need that because
it's the duat. The
right.
duat is the Egyptian underworld.
There you go. So, and Harold still plays a somewhat of a role in a way. So, if you're looking for that, also.
Right. No, Ethan Hawke does an incredible job in this series. He's doing a very good job in this series of being a character that's not just the David Koresh, you know, like the cult leader. Like in this one, he, you know, like in this episode specifically, it's a total flip of the script for the Harrow character, where he's basically playing a doctor, a psychiatrist in a mental health facility that is basically trying to shut down all of Mark Spector's quote unquote delusions.
Right. In a way, he's still playing. Yeah, he's just not playing it in the same way. He's just going about it a different way.
Right, but it's still definitely a flip of the script because it's not what Harrow was before, so it's a very different character.
Right. So, moving right along, though, we are going to get into the books of the week, starting with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, number 5.
Right, surprise, surprise. TMNT, The Last Ronin, number 5. The story is by Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and Tom Waits. Tom Waltz?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Tom Waltz.
Yes.
It's Tom Waltz. Tom Waits is a musician. The script is by Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman. Layouts are by Kevin Eastman. Pencils and inks are by Esau and Isaac Escorza. Ben Bishop and Kevin Eastman. There is a color assist by Samuel Pita. Colors are by Luis Antonio Delgado and Rhonda Pattison. Letters are by Sean Lee. There are a lot of people working on this book because it is, to be fair, extra sized. It is not a normal sized book. It is a little bit longer than your regular comic book. So I think Roddykat recently caught up on this story.
I've been up on it.
Or have you been keeping up?
No, I've kept up on it. Yeah.
All right. So this story is the culmination of several months of reading along, because this has been on a bi-monthly schedule. So it's given plenty of people plenty of time to catch up on this if they were not on it, let's say for the first 1 or 2 issues. But we have gotten to the climax of this story, wherein Michelangelo is looking to take it to the latest incarnation of the Foot Clan. And you know, that is a spoiler in itself, because the premise of the story is that there is one last turtle standing.
Yep, but you know, even with that being the case, his turtle brothers are still with him in spirit, actually, literally, in this period. Which I was, for part of me was thinking they're going to explain this in a different way. They're going to have some other explanation outside of the fact that it's in his head. You know, I don't know, something about the story just kind of felt like that was the case, but it was like, no, what it is. He was just like, they were in his head, like we've seen plenty of times in other stories. But yeah, like Age7 said, he's gearing up to take out the grandson of um Shredder, something like. But
Right.
regardless, some Roku family member. But basically, he's going on that last. If you play video games, he's on that last level, and he's trying making his way
Right.
to
The
the boss
final
fight.
boss.
Yeah, he's making the way to the boss fight and to have the boss fight. Which, to not spoil the end of this book, kind of ends like you would expect it would for the name of this issue. I mean, for the name of this
Right.
book.
Right. And with the kind of expected option for continuation.
Yes. Yes.
So that is, that was not unexpected on my end. I rather like the design of the Ultimate T2 Shredder, the T1000 Shredder. I kind of got a kick out of that. That was kind of fun, given the fact that this is set in the nearer future.
Right.
So I got a kick out of that. That was it was a nice amalgamation of some technology that we don't normally see utilized in the Turtles. But then again, they've had Alien since Jump, so seeing technology in the pages of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is not uncommon.
Right. So here's some perspective here. I don't know if this is true or not, but this seems not have been this long. But this book came out this week. The last issue of this book came out last September, according to Comixology. And I don't know if that part is true or not, but I know it's definitely has been some. According to Comixology, the last issue of this book, the previous issue rather, came out.
Oh, you mean the prior issue? Oh, yeah, yes. September of 2021.
Right. So that is how long it's been since between the last issue of this and this particular issue coming out. If
right,
that is true.
Right. It's been a while. They definitely had to go beyond their bi-monthly schedule.
Right. So I say that to say that I wouldn't blame anybody for not remembering what happened coming into this issue of the book and would have to go back in and reread. Which I almost thought I did, but I was like, nah, it's pretty cut and dry. It wasn't necessarily to do that. Like, he's the last one. Right. He's got this big fight. It was a big fight last issue, and the boss fight.
Right, and it's still fun to see some of the old characters still, making progress and doing their things, and there are nice little reunions during the issue that we see, and there's a great shot on a rooftop.
Yes.
That will be very nostalgic for fans of the Turtles, especially the ones that go back to the black and white. But even if you don't go all the way back to the black and white, but just go back to the cartoons, you'll still enjoy that particular reunion on the rooftop. And just it'll be it'll hit a very warm note in the nostalgia bones.
Yeah, sadly no one says cowabunga, but this is not.
Well, because that's not. These are not the cartoon ones.
But but it still evokes a similar spirit in that shot that he's mentioning. So.
Right, and to be honest, and obviously this is something that the comics adapted from the color adaptations of the Turtles and the cartoon especially, but their bandanas weren't multicolored before.
This is true, right?
So when they first appeared, their bandanas obviously in a black and white comic. It wasn't something that was made that was a point of emphasis. Right. But in this story, their bandanas are correspond with the color schemes for each individual turtle that was developed for the cartoons, video games, and everything going forward.
Yes, and actually, speaking of video games, they have the Cowabunga collection is on pre-order now for, I believe, all of the Turtle games, if you are so inclined. That limited run has going on, so you check that out. Some good stuff there, because there's a new Turtles game coming out at some point that has nothing to do with this book, but it looks good and looks reminiscent of the old games, and I can't wait to play it. So that was aside. We can go to the next book
You want to go to the big number one that came out this week?
Sure. Amazing Spider-Man #1.
All righty. On this book, it is written by Zeb Wells with art by John Romita Jr., inks by Scott Hanna, colors by Marcio Meniz, and letters by our favorite Python, VC's Joe Caramagna. So I don't think Roddykat was prepared, because I wasn't, for the immediate shift in story. Because even though it's a new number one, we don't necessarily expect them to pick up from where they left off the previous volume. But it was kind of jarring for me. I don't know if you expected that. I had stayed away from all the previews.
No, I
came into this cold.
Yeah, same. I did too. So no, you're right. I was not expecting, not the beginning. It's definitely not the end.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the end is definitely going to be a whatchamacallit, a red herring. You know, I think the ending is, you know, I think there's something there's something afoot. You know, if Wells decides to make that canon, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy. And we're not going to spoil what that is. Tough. But so yeah, we start off with I guess an event that happens, or at least the aftermath of an event that happens with Spider-Man at the center of it. But then cuts to 6 months later, to where we see a pretty different Peter coming out of the back end of it. We don't see what the event is, but I assume we're going to get to it at some point. Peter's definitely acting differently. He's got a beard, for goodness sake. I've never seen bearded Peter, I don't think. Unless that happened in Spider-Verse or something like that. But I don't think I've ever seen a bearded Peter.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, I was about to say maybe not like a full beard, probably stubble Peter.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, because that's that's kind of how I saw this, a stubble Peter and not fully bearded Peter.
Well, I was about to say you could put that on JR, but also, yeah, sure. That is still,
because it's not like the thickest. I mean, it could be like, you know, he could be one of those guys that just don't grow, you know, like the thickest beards. I want to say we've probably seen bearded Peter, you know, maybe not in a Spider-Verse, but in like one of those like Spider-Man Reign books or something like that. You know, like looking at like future Peter Parkers.
Oh wait, there is one, I think, in that recent miniseries where the Earth gets blacked out or whatever case may be. I believe there is a bearded Peter there, but I don't even know if that's not even a
right.
That means I can't Elseworlds, or you know.
Right. So there's a couple of things that go on in this issue that still lead us to believe that we're still in the relatively current Marvel universe, because there is a guest star. It's not a big spoiler. There is a guest star, namely Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. His status quo is still unchanged, or still what the current status quo is, even though this is supposed to be a 6 months later time jump. So there are a couple of things that, you know, that hint that hint and definitely suggest that we're not that far into the future, as it were. We're still somewhere in somewhere in the recent past, or the current, or in the near future, when it comes to the Marvel 616 timeline. You know, the Robbie Robertson storyline is still carrying forward from the Nick Spencer run. You know, there are a couple of things that have carried forward, but there's some very large Peter Parker centric story points that are completely out of left field, and obviously it's meant to throw, you know, the Parker luck into you know, into a bright spotlight, and leave Peter with some room to you know, a mountain to climb back up on.
Right. But yeah, but the crux of it.
Are you on mute, Robbie? Oh, okay.
Oh, no. But yeah, like it just says, like, yeah, we see a couple of events here, and we definitely see like we said earlier, a different Peter from what we're used to seeing, and especially with the way he's his mental state, I guess, to not go into it too deeply. in this, and we don't know what caused it, but well, we know something caused it. We see that clearly, but we don't know how it got from there to here, basically. So I guess this book's going to broach that at some point. And I guess we're even going to see shades of stuff we heard about in the news, because there was one section to where there was a deal that got busted up involving a property belonging to someone known to to Spider-Man, that I assume is going to come into play,
right,
at some point,
right,
soon.
because if you, like us, are keeping up with solicitations, there is an interesting development coming up in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man involving one person who likes to think of himself as something of a scientist.
Yes. Sure. Yes. Indeed. Okay. So I have to ask Agent 76, because I don't know this character. Not the character that we just mentioned, but there's a character that's kind of shown prominently here that I assume is an old Spidey villain, but I don't think I know them.
You mean the gamma irradiated one? Relatively recent. Okay. Relatively recent. I want to say during the One More Day era, which, believe it or not, is like 10 years old now.
Right.
Which is terrible. It's terrible that it seems like it was yesterday, but it's like 10 years old now, because Spider-Verse is old now.
That's just true. Yeah.
You know, this Digger character, I'm pretty sure that's who Roddykat is mentioning, is relatively recent. I think it's One More Day. It might even be more recent than that.
Gotcha. I meant to look it up, but I didn't take the chance to do so before this. So I'm like, I don't know this character, but they mentioned being gamma radiated, and they even mentioned the Green Door. I'm like, I know this character didn't show up in Hulk, so.
Mm-hmm.
And there was even saying, is like, I think even Peters was saying, like, yeah, he's almost as strong as a Hulk, or something along those lines. So I was like, oh, okay, like, how did this happen? But now I have to go look at him later. Regardless, with every new volume of Spider-Man that we have come across in the last couple of years, let's just say, you know, it starts out with a good premise sometimes, with the exception of that last one, maybe, you know, and managed to still kind of keep us in the game. We have to see how this one goes.
Yeah, we have to be patient. We have to be patient. I'm actually looking up when this Digger character. Oh my God.
Uh-oh.
Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, number 51, first appearance, March of 2003. Oh my God.
Oh, dang. Okay. So.
It seems like it was just yesterday, you know.
So almost 20
Oh
years.
my God. Oh my God.
Okay. Damn, I got married that year.
Oh my God.
That's how long ago that was.
You know, this story is just so far away.
Yeah.
Now it looks as though he's here to stay.
Oh Lord, no. I don't believe in yesterday.
Oh, come on, folks. You know your good friend at Agent_70 is gonna bring in some music reference into our show. But I'm literally flabbergasted that this character appeared in 2003. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 'tis a lengthy time that is.
Yeah, it's a long time. I could definitely go down into my long boxes and find the issue that this character appeared in. It's kind of funny.
But that being said, yeah, so we have some things to, I guess, see what the next issue brings us, and with the plots that have been plucked for this story, or for the
it's a weird place to start.
Yeah,
you can't deny that. It's a weird place to start, and obviously that's what Zeb Wells is going for. He's going for a little bit of shock factor. to shock us into, trying to keep up with the next issue.
Right.
Because the Spencer run kind of ended on a high note,
but left some stuff out there, which this, like you said earlier, this kind of picks up on at least one or two things.
Right. But in terms of like where Peter is,
right.
It kind of ends with, with Peter on a high note. And obviously, as I said earlier, they have to throw the Parker luck in there and give the hero something to overcome. So that's where we're starting off right away, and they're going to reveal what that big thing was, and they hint at it with the Johnny Storm guest appearance.
Mm-hmm.
That it complicates Spider-Man's relationship with the Fantastic Four.
Right. And as Agent 70 said, that, us looking at solicits and news and whatnot, know that apparently whatever it is, Peter did it.
Right. Right. Or they blame him for it.
Right. He's at the center of it, whatever it is.
Right. Exactly. Like either he probably wasn't responsible for it, but he probably didn't respond to it in the best way. I think that's probably how they're going to play it off.
Yeah, we'll see. We shall see.
All right, what's next? President Bartlett
is next.
What's next?
I guess we talk about the other Spider book of the week. So I think that's the only other
Silk?
we got in common. Yeah.
You want to do Silk? All right. Silk #4 is written by Emily Kim, with art by Takeshi Miyazawa, colors by Ian Herring, and letters by VC's Ariana Maher. So if you haven't been keeping up with this volume of Silk, there is is it a Korean witch that has been freed from a tomb?
Yes.
And this Korean witch has been wreaking havoc on all the people who have basically drawing energy from the younger people, especially the younger people who have lots of power due to their social influencing positions, their position as social influencers. And unfortunately, Cindy Moon has become the latest victim of this witch who, spoiler alert, because it's not exactly, actually, you know what? It's on the cover.
Right.
So it's not the biggest spoiler, but I'm going to just say spoiler and ring the bell real quick. In case you're not with us online right now and are unable to see the cover for this issue, Cindy Moon is an old lady right now and suffers from many of old people problems. Related. Another version of OPP.
Jeez. All right, moving along.
I can't hear Roddykat's, ladies and gentlemen, on the audio and even on the video, Roddykat's microphone's acting up just a touch. So I wasn't sure what he just said. He was probably just poking fun at my bad puns, but what are you gonna do?
I just said, oh geez. So we got old lady Cindy, or old woman Cindy, however way you want to put it. And she's feeling it. She's feeling the age, but she's still trying to do her thing. Even she tried to go home and gather herself, but that didn't work out. But she goes visit some friends, and then who try to talk to her, and then she goes to the one person that did not expect her to go to and especially to get some advice, was J. Jonah Jameson. Who gives her some, some relatively salient advice, I guess, for JJ.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And then
it's kind of nice that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I thought.
No, I was just gonna say, and then they go out. Then because of her status, she needed some help to get to where this other witch, where this witch is seemingly starting up some shenanigans, and she enlists JJ's help.
Right. Yeah, your microphone is really acting up right now. I would say that it was interesting that well, no, really, the point I was going to make is that it's nice that J. Jonah Jameson, obviously a central character in the Spider-Man corner of the Marvel Universe, has taken up a nice role. You know, not necessarily the antagonist, but definitely like a really nice supporting role in the Silk book. You know, it shows you that Silk is definitely going to be, you know, an integral part of the Spider-Man corner of the Marvel universe. And you know, by putting Jonah in here and not just a bunch of rando new characters, which she, you know, Cindy does have a bunch of new kind of newer supporting characters in the fold, but it's nice that Jonah is playing such a big role, obviously as Cindy's boss in this story, kind of a parallel to Peter's original story. So, you know, like I said, at least from my perspective, I think it's nice that Jonah plays such a large role in the Silk book, and it keeps her story kind of central to the main Spider-Man story.
Right.
Or at least they're very adjacent to.
Right. The weird thing about their relationship is that, like, clearly he does not know she's Cindy is Silk, or at least that is what it seems like to be. But part of me is thinking like, well, he knows Peter's Spidey. As far as I know, that's there, because obviously that has nothing to do with anyone else with a spider suit. But I don't know. I feel like there's at some point Jay Jones is gonna be like, I already know you're Silk. Just
I would laugh if it happens. I would laugh if it happens. You know, and there's some real I don't want to say character development, but there's some real insight, as Roddykat mentioned here, especially given Jonah's recent past, you know, that he kind of goes over and describes and uses as his current motivation and current, you know, and as you know, and it all informs his current way of thinking and his attitude.
Mm-hmm. Which, okay, yeah, this is definitely a change from the J. Jonah Jameson that we knew from way back in the day.
Right. Exactly. I mean, he's still prone to yell out. What does he call her? Retro or no, analog.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's the same thing as yelling out Parker.
Yeah.
So.
And bring me pictures of Silk.
Exactly. All right. President Bartlett, are we done with Silk?
We are done with Silk.
What's next?
Do you want to go rapid fire, or do you want to hit one more book?
No, I think we can do rapid. Yes,
all right,
let's do rapid.
Spin it up.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Go for it.
All right, we are in rapid fire. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, Berserker, number 8 of 12 from Boom Studios. It's written by Keanu Reeves and Matt Kindt, with art by Ron Garney, colors by Bill Crabtree, and letters by Clem Robbins. So, this issue takes a gigantic left turn. This is an unexpected turn of events based on what has happened over the past issue and a half. There is still plenty of flashbacks here. There are plenty of pages devoted to figuring out where this Unute character comes from. That's the Berserker Keanu Reeves character. You know, there has been an experiment to try to test the extent of his powers, and it goes, I don't want to say awry, but it definitely takes a big left turn. And that's a very strange direction, I thought, for the story to go in. And I would say that PCN_Dirt agrees with me. So we'll leave it at that. Next up is Justice League number 75. It is written by Joshua Williamson with pencils by Rafa Sandoval. Inks by Jordi Tarragona. Colors are by Matt Herms, and letters by Josh Reed. So I did not read this that carefully because I was brought in by the cover. And if you saw the cover for it, it basically says that Justice League is dead. I literally just skimmed this book. So Roddykat, and I've already spoiled this part for Roddykat. This is why he'll probably flip through this book. Pariah is back for some reason. He's our favorite, non-favorite character from Crisis on Infinite Earths and all the Crisis things that have popped up in the DC universe since. The majority of the Justice League does, in fact, die. It's not a big spoiler. It's on the cover, folks. But there is one character that survives. Conveniently, this one character, we'll say something along the lines of, I do have a sound effect here that applies. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? That's the character who survives. So, and bottom line is, this is a lead into Dark Crisis, the big crossover. So, it's if you're interested in that, I know lots of DC people are kind of trepidatious about it. They're not sure what to make of this Dark Crisis as being the latest crisis for DC to undergo. What PC_Dirt would say is that DC has betrayed him with these events in the past, but he's still a sucker for them in the early stages. So that tends to be what my attitude towards this too is just kind of we're drawn in by the concept and the early parts, and then we're just let down over the course of the story. So, but let's see. And something else that PC_Dirt mentioned that I would probably hardly agree with is that the Justice League really isn't going to be completely dead or permanently dead after this. So, it's not going to be, it's not one of those permanent death things, or at least as permanent as comic book deaths are. Shout out to Uncle Ben. Next up is Hulk Grand Design Madness #1. This is a Jim Rugg project. This is all Jim Rugg, and it is fun to do these, or to go through these retrospectives. This is X-Men Grand Design, but focused upon the Hulk and his history. And it's incredible to go through as someone who has read the Hulk relatively consistently from the 90s until now. There are definitely holes in my collection. I don't have the most complete Hulk collection. I definitely started picking it up when Peter David wrote it more consistently. Before that, I was a little hit and miss, especially the first volume of this Grand Design book was, it contained a lot of story that I had like issues here and issues there, but I wasn't that familiar with it. But this book had a ton of stuff in it that I was familiar with. It does not go all the way up to Immortal Hulk. It, in fact, only goes up to, I want to say, World War Hulk and Red Hulk.
Okay.
So it doesn't go all the way to current times. Much like Grand Design didn't go all the way to current times. I believe ended right around the Jim Lee books. Mm-hmm. So, there definitely is a window to this Grand Design story that Jim Rugg was sticking to. But my one caveat, if you, like Roddykat, have not read Hulk Future Imperfect, don't read this because it will spoil Hulk Future Imperfect. Go read Future Imperfect first and then come back to this.
Or,
so that's the one caveat I would give. It'd be nice if you read World War Hulk 2, but it's really only like a couple of pages of the story, of this recap. But this is actually a nice little it's a nice little study of the Hulk story up until this, up to this particular point in the Hulk character's history. I think this is a really efficient way of telling the Hulk's origin. So if someone was looking to read up on the Hulk up until Immortal Hulk, these 2 issues, I think would be a pretty good read for that person. All right, next up is Ms. Marvel Beyond the Limit number 5. I know that Roddykat read this. It's written by Samira Ahmed with art by Andre Genole and Zay Carlos. Colors are by Triona Farrell and letters by our very own lettering Python, VC's Joe Caramagna. So this issue is the resolution of this 5-issue limited series. So there is lots of sciencing going on as well as magic, because they do need the aid of one Sorcerer Supreme, but it's not clear. And it's hard to figure out whether or not where this story kind of fits into the continuity of everything. They could probably just easily say that this happened before the events of the most recent Doctor Strange stories.
Mm-hmm.
So it could just be that. Given the fact that this miniseries could just eat more easily than not, given that it's and I hate to say this because it makes it sound like it's a waste of time, but it seems, at least to this point, relatively inconsequential. But the characters introduced in the series may come back at a later date. We'll see. It seems like this is the first of a couple of limited series that are going to be put out over the summer as a lead up to the Ms. Marvel Disney Plus show.
Yep.
You have anything to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say on that note, which I guess you pretty much already said, like, yeah, they do leave a thing open to that is going to get brought up in whatever next limited series that they're going to have. But outside of that, yeah, I feel like they're still setting up the thing that I thought was going to happen did not happen, in that they I believe we said at the last issue they were going to change her power set to be more in line with the show that is coming, but they have not done that yet. I'm still thinking that's probably going to be a thing, especially with some of the things that they brought up here. It's kind of giving me more leeway to believe such, even though you really can't go by it's just one-off things. They mentioned quantums this and quantum that. They mentioned the multiverse. Doctor Strange, shows up also. So, the cynical part of me was like, okay, yes, we know this stuff is coming. So therefore, sure, you had to throw that in there. But at the same time, it feels like there's going to be a line going in there in the next, whatever next thing comes out that's going to end up changing her power set to, like, I believe it is. I'm hope to be wrong, but, we'll see. That's all I got to say.
Alrighty. Next up is Punisher number 2. It's written by Jason Aaron with pencils by Jesus Saiz, inks by Paul Azaceta, colors by Dave Stewart, letters are by VC's Corey Pettit. So, if you thought this was going to be the only time this week that we would get an heretofore unknown part of an origin for a longtime Marvel character, if we were only going to get one instance of that, you would be mistaken, because we got it in Moon Knight and we get it here in The Punisher. This aspect of the Punisher's origin has been hinted at, but it also, retcons a few things that we did not know about the Punisher character up until the point where, we all know what the Punisher's main origin is that he was a veteran of some nebulous United States conflict, comes back and his wife and kids are gunned down as the result of mafia. In the Marvel universe it's the Magia, right? But it's the mafia activity, right? That has been the origin of the Punisher for a long time. In this issue we have a supplement to that origin. Whether or not this is completely true, obviously it's a big retcon because it involves the Hand, and that the Hand has apparently been watching Frank Castle for a long time. So and basically, not necessarily grooming him, but at least observing him for a long time, and they get to the point where they have him in their clutches, in a sense, under their influence, under their thumb in this current Punisher series. There is a distinct reference here to something that came up in the pages of Civil War. Very indirect. It's a very indirect reference, but if you remember the Millar storylines in Civil War, specifically the Punisher related stuff, you'll see how that is brought back in this issue. It's a very indirect reference, but it's there. What's weird about this is that the Hand is not the only supernatural / godlike being running around in the pages of this book, and that's a little weird for the Punisher. Okay, so it's just a touch weird for the Punisher, but otherwise I'm actually having a decent time reading this. I don't know about everyone else. It's definitely laid out some I would say that Jason Aaron's done a good job, at least in the second issue, of addressing some of our concerns as longtime readers. Similar to some of the problems that I had with like Sam Wilson taking up the mantle of Captain America when he did in the comics and even in the MCU, and it being implied that he could automatically throw the shield the way Steve Rogers could. Obviously in the MCU they did a better job of showing that he couldn't, with the training montage, and even after that point he still can't really throw it like Steve, but he can handle it better than he could when he started, right? In the comics they didn't necessarily do the best job of that. Here in this Punisher book, he's running around with the Hand, seemingly like a ninja, and they actually do show a little bit of where the Punisher stands with regard to his martial arts prowess when compared to other hand ninjas, and why, and where the character is in relation to them in terms of his martial arts capabilities and what he's looking to do in this new role that he's occupying with the Hand. So I kind of like that this issue did address that particular problem I had with the first issue and with the concept of this Punisher story coming in. All right, next up is, and last for me, is Thor number 24. This is written by Donny Cates with several art teams on this book. There are Roddykat, I believe, has the cover up for this issue. So for those of you who are with us right now on the video feed, and Roddykat's putting his hand up. I don't have the full video feed up in front of me, but yeah, he's got the cover up. So there is a funeral in this issue. It is the funeral for an Allfather. And if you have not been keeping up with this story, I understand. It's been, it's been a long time coming. I've been reading this volume of Thor since Jump. I've been trying to get Roddykat to read it. He's not interested. He's got other things to read. But I think that this issue is a decent starting point to jump on, or at least to read one of the in-between stories, that comes up in the middle of this book. So let me see. There are stories in here from Jason Aaron and Das Pastoris, Al Ewing and Lee Garbett, Dan Jurgens. Walt Simonson is the story that I'm stressing on, and J. Michael Straczynski and Olivier Coipel also show up for a nice little short story. Nick Klein is the artist on the these are basically like bookend. Jason Aaron and Nick Klein basically do the bookend parts of this book, where they set up a framing device for these middle stories that kind of occupy the bulk of the book. But it is the funeral for Odin. And I'm not spoiling anything that actually comes out of this book, but I will say that a lot of the stories seem to set up future storylines, as well as provide some deeper understanding for a favorite of this show, Beta Ray Bill, that is written and drawn by Walt Simonson and lettered by John Workman. And if you're familiar with that run on Thor, the Simonson run on Thor, John Workman did all the lettering, and the lettering itself was like a character. You know, it had its own, it provided its own thing, extra atmosphere, extra oomph to the story. So, you know, I definitely recommend that Roddykat at least flip through this book and take a look at the Beta Ray Bill story. And that's it for me.
Okay. For myself, we start off with Knights of X number 1. I kind of skimmed through this because while I did not forget too terribly much about how Excalibur ended, luckily this book kind of jogged a little bit of my memory of some things that happened anyway, or at least a couple of things that happened. So
your mic's going up.
Well, I suspect it probably won't for the recording, but we'll find out, I guess. So, you are going to have to bear with me from that because I think I'm fine on this end. Anyway, so Knights of X number 1, we see Excalibur still stuck in Otherworld, or wait, is it Otherworld? I always forget. Regardless, yes, Otherworld. They have no backup because the gate to Krakoa is gone. So is Betsy, a bunch of the Captain Britain Corps. I think that was it. And she needs some help, so she tries to get some help from Saturnine, who's just all kind of cranky. But then she goes to Roma, who sends her on a quest. And with this quest, she has to gather 10 compatriots, which she ends up going to do. Not as I think Gambit or somebody brings it up, is like, wait, this is not a tournament or anything. To which his fears were put aside, were satisfied basically. But apparently Betsy and crew end up going on a quest to find a familiar gem, or a familiar thing, let's just say, when you're dealing with Otherworld and Saturnine and therein from X-Men folks would know what this thing is that they're looking for, that they just figured out that they had to look for at the end of this book. And actually I forgot to get the creative team, which consists of writer Tini Howard, art by Bob Quinn, color artist Eric Arciniega, and letters by BC's Ariana Marr. So yeah, if you're still interested in that stuff with the Excalibur crew, check that out. Next book is Godzilla vs. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 2. Rawr! That was my best Godzilla. I know you liked it. There you go. That works.
I thought you were gonna do more Mighty Morphin Power Ranger stuff.
Yeah, I could have, but nah.
Shout out to William Bruce West.
Indeed. So, in this issue, we have the meeting of Godzilla and the original Power Rangers, and they get into a scrap, of course. So basically, it's Godzilla versus the Megazord, or AKA, well, I can't even call him Mechagodzilla because he's not got Mechagodzilla, but basically, it's a kaiju big battle. You might as well say it. It's Pacific Rim, kinda. It's the original Pacific Rim. And it goes a kind of a way, you know, which I guess could be expected because this is a mini series, and it can only go one way when you still have like three or four more issues to go. And of course, it comes to find out that the Rangers found out that they were mistaken about our boy Godzilla. To which they tend to go after the perpetrators involved, and then they end up getting into another Zord fight with kaiju. So yeah, two kaiju battles for the price of one in this issue, or at least the start of a second one in this issue, because yeah, it doesn't look too good for those Rangers at the end of this. But of course, you know, cliffhangers be what they are. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun book. If you like those two properties together, I don't know how this is going to end out, but the first couple of issues have been all right so far. Next book is that one? Trial of the Amazons, which was part 2 of 2, which I believe ends with the exception of the coronation of Nubia, which I believe is coming out like next week or so. I believe that ends this particular event in the Wonder Woman universe. And the script is by Becky. There's a lot of people on this book. Script by Becky Cloonan, Michael Conrad, Vida Ayala, Stephanie Williams, and Joel Jones. Art by, Elena Casagrande, Laura Braga, Skylar Patridge, Adriana Mello, and Joel Jones. Colors by Romello Fajardo Jr. and Jordi Belair. Letters by Pat Prusso. And that's that. So yeah, like I said, it's all hands on deck for the Amazons who are going up against Chaos, who pretty much came out of the Doom's Doorway, Doom's Doorway. And all three sects of Amazonians have banded together and are fighting them off. But they need some weapons and they get some armory, and they kind of go and fight the fight, and they come together and at the end win the day, but not without a couple of losses. I guess not to spoil this, but it was going to happen at some point. Yara Flor, which is the new Wonder Girl, gets her title from Diana, which was a nice moment, which was a funny moment, realistically, because she was giving her shit the whole time she was doing it. And then, of course, we see at the end where, I guess, Nubia is going to end up, well, she's already queen, but she's getting officially coronated at some point in the future, which is like another week from now. There was also a funny moment with a certain army they went into, but I won't give that up, especially with the name of it. I was like, really? That's funny. All right. But we also see a couple of classics come into play, or at least get mentioned, like the Invisible Jet and that one armor from Wonder Woman 1984 that has shown up. They make an appearance in this thing, so I was like, okay, nice touches here and there. But yeah, if you've been keeping up with this event, this ends satisfactorily, I believe. Last book for me is Aquamen number 3. And if you see by the cover, yes, that is the bat signal. But surprisingly enough, actually, hold on for a second. Script by Chuck Brown and Brandon Thomas. Art by Max Rayner. Colors by Hi-Fi and letters by Android Design. So yeah, Jackson ends up going to Gotham. He meets up with a member of the Bat family, but not the one you would think would show up in this book. Or would show up at all, given the bat signal, or given any batness going on. But the other part of that is we still have the team up between Arthur and Black Manta, and Mara's trying to get to the bottom of that, to which she's kind of gotten away to do on her own, and that's kind of coming to a thing. But also the plot of this event kind of shares a little bit with the recent events of Black Panther, in that there are sleeper agents and that's about as far as it goes. So there's a couple of things that are kind of going on here, and I'm not sure how much longer this event. I think actually the Aquaman series is like probably another 2 or 3 issues, and I'm not sure if it's tying into any other books, but you still got a couple of issues to go to kind of resolve what's going on in this this thing. But like I said, so far it's been kind of interesting. I've been kind of curious as to if this has been building up to anything, if anything that it is doing. So, but we shall see. And with that, that is the end of my books. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
Well, we got one.
We do.
Is, Berserker from Dirt.
Berserker.
My love for you is like Berserker.
Yeah. So I was talking about what PCN_Dirt mentioned to us off, in our group chat, and I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah. So basically, PCN_Dirt liked this Berserker book. He says that the story took a really odd turn, which is what paralleling what I said. It actually took two weird turns, and he says he has no idea where it's going, but he's certainly looking forward to finding out. It's a bit light to read because it was mostly visual, so I'm inclined to agree with all of PCN_Dirt's points on this book, but I did enjoy that. But it is not my Kliq of the week, but it is his.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any ideas on yours? Because I think I know what I'm going to go with. So I'll give you some time if you need it, but I think I know what I'm going to go with.
Do it.
I'm going to go with Thor number 24 because it was just chock full of great stories. It was great to see Walt Simonson throw in the Beta Ray Bill stuff, but it was a nice, overall book. There was Dan Jurgens had a short story. J. Michael Straczynski had a short story. It was just really nice to see all of these creators who had lengthy runs on Thor have something to contribute to this anniversary issue. Even though it's not like number 25, it ends up being number 24. But I think in the legacy numbering, let me see what it is in the legacy numbering.
750.
I feel like it's got to be something big on the legacy number. I just have to click past all the way back to the cover because they usually have that stuff on the cover. Oh, 750. So it's issue number 750 overall for Thor. And that's my Kliq of the week.
Well, for myself, I'm going to go with put that up there real quick. Bing. Ooh, that was dumb. I hate these covers. There we go.
Yeah, your audio completely cut out just now.
Testing.
All right, you're back for now.
Okay. Great. I'm sure I probably haven't left the folks at home though. Trial of the Amazons number 2. I'm going with that.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a good book. I enjoyed it. I will say. Okay, and that's not going to fly. So we're just going to go ahead and get into the news section, but first, an ad read.
All right, our first ad read is for Funko, Fun at First Sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world-famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise such as their custom DIY pop figures. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10. SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
And we get into the cinematic news like we do every week around this time. Starting off with, WandaVision star Paul Bettany teases his Marvel return. And by that, he says stuff, but he really doesn't say a whole lot. Says here that it stands to reason that the Vision actor will be back in the fold at some point, but the question is, when will that occur? He was asked, and he says, oh wait, that's because basically says that the Doctor Strange movie presents an opening for Vision to come back into play, but Paul Bettany says absolutely not for any kind of money at all. I can't even think of a figure, he joked. But he said the honest answer to that is maybe. It's not, well, it's the answer he's going to give, and that you'll have to cope with it. And he basically says that Vision follows off at the end of WandaVision, and, sure, he knows he's coming back. He just don't know when or where. Like I said, he says something, but doesn't really say a whole lot. Because the Marvel snipers are out there. Next up.
Okay, next up, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I've heard it called Doctor Strange Mom. The scribe for the movie reveals how the film impacts Loki Season 2. So, according to Michael Waldron, via the playlist, it does indeed impact Loki Season 2. Quote, the headaches I have are probably intertwined. I mean, it's all intertwined and it's all stand alone, and it's all stands alone. Like a great comic universe, I think that one thing certainly informs the other, Waldron reveals. You're going to have a better time watching the next chapter of an MCU story if you've seen this stuff before it. Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine.
It's all connected.
Yep.
Disney shows extended looks at Lightyear and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So CinemaCon happened this past weekend. In fact, you will hear some other news later on down the line and about some other stuff. But basically, there was an extended look, like I said, for that Pixar movie about Buzz Lightyear that Chris Evans is voicing. And of course, there was another look at Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And I think both of those are out there if you so choose to want to check those out. But since one of those movies is coming out next week, excuse me. Yeah, you may or may not want to hold out. That's specifically on you. And I guess, I'll go ahead and say this right now. Next week, we're going on movie protocol, because at the very least one of us is going to be watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness on the night of the show we record.
Yes, that's me. So we will be under movie protocol. We'll mention it again at the end of the show, and we'll definitely put it in our social media leading up to next Thursday. But we're definitely going to be on movie protocol for next Thursday. I will be at opening night for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Next up.
Alrighty, next up, the groovy 1978 Doctor Strange movie, not the latest one, but the one from 1978, is coming to Blu-ray. So this is long before the MCU, and this was a made-for-TV movie simply titled Doctor Strange, which was very loosely based on the comics, and it is now coming to Blu-ray from the folks at Shout Factory. It is very 70s. It also involves a version of Morgan Le Fay.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of Doctor Strange crazy stuff in the 70s, because it was probably one of the easier things that they could try to translate back then from page to screen. Magic.
Sure. But it was also made for TV, so the budgets were not.
Yeah, it's not going to have a lot of. Yeah, it's not going to have that kind of budget.
Yeah.
So
Like if you've watched any episodes of Incredible Hulk or that Incredible Hulk Thor thing they did or any of 70s Spider-Man, you know. But then again, you would have to be of a certain vintage unless you happen to find them somewhere out
yes.
there.
Yes. I mean, listen, to me, my favorite parts of the Incredible Hulk TV show were the opening credits, the ending music when the Lonely Man music, and the transformation scenes. Everything else was just filler.
Yeah, true. What I didn't remember, or I don't think I've ever seen this Doctor Strange movie, but what it's saying here that apparently Jessica Walter, may she rest in peace. Folks may know her as the voice of Mallory Archer from Archer, and also Arrested Development. Played Morgan Le Fay. So that's an interesting note. It doesn't say does it say how much this thing is? No, it does not. But hey, you can go check it, go pre-order it on the right now, as of this recording. Next up. Oh wait, that's you. I mean, that's me. Excuse me. Hold on a second. Let me. $26.98. That was how much it was. Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn explains why Drax's backstory had to change. And basically he says that, well, he had a bunch of people from Earth already, so he didn't want to. Oh, he had enough people from Earth already, I guess. Which realistically, like, Quill was the only one from Earth. Like they could have went with the original Drax story, but hey, there's sure. I guess they would have had to explain that, but it is what it is. But like I said, he didn't. According to this, it says, I didn't want to make a space opera with a dozen Earthlings who just coincidentally find themselves in space. How could I even explain that in the first hour and 20 minutes of a movie? I wanted a group of aliens and orphans from different planets who banded together. Sure. Next up.
I mean, listen, that's fine. You know, even though like what you said before, you know, for those of us who have been reading for a long time and seeing the character grow from his original story to where they are now, yeah, it kind of, you know, it kind of sucks that they do away with that for Drax, but you know, at the end of the day, it's still, you know, his main driving force is still to take out Thanos. So, you know, there's that part remains. All righty, next up, Marvel Studios debuted the first footage from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever at CinemaCon. And most details on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever have remained under wraps, but they did show footage that it featured a short of Shuri, Okoye, and Nakia united at the front lines of a battle. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I can't remember. Some of that stuff might be out there in one way, shape, or form, but I think some of that stuff doesn't necessarily get out publicly at this point. Anyway, Keith David wants to play Beta Ray Bill in the MCU. So responding to a fan on Twitter who asked whether David would be open to voicing Beta Ray Bill in the MCU, the actor responded enthusiastically. In a New York Minute, wrote David, expressing his excitement at playing a CGI take on the Marvel alien. Don't know if Marvel Studios is going to have Beta Ray Bill at any point, according to this. And apparently, Keith David had a cameo in Thor Ragnarok, but it was cut from the film. So, yeah, get that man Beta Ray Bill. The man got the voice. Next up.
So interestingly, at CinemaCon, Phil Lord and Chris Miller revealed the first 15 minutes of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, as well as Part 2's title. So, you know, this was work in progress preview footage. And they revealed that Part 2 is going to be titled Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I don't want to go into this any potential spoilers for Across the Spider-Verse.
Next up. Sony announces El Muerto, a Spider-Man spinoff starring Bad Bunny as Marvel's first live-action Latino lead. Who is Bad Bunny?
What you talking about?
I was wondering why you pulled that, and now I understand. All right, but yeah.
I mean, all right, go ahead with the story, and then I'll comment more.
But yeah, so there's going to be just like I said, Spider-Man spinoff called El Muerto. I know how to do it. Trust me. Bad Bunny's gonna star. And it's going to be said to be released in theaters January 12th, 2024. I still don't know who Bad Bunny is. Apparently he was in Fast 9. And then the article goes into who El Muerto is. Sure. What do you have to say?
All right, so a couple of notes here. One, Bad Bunny is apparently like one of the leading touring musicians out there right now.
Sure.
You know, he's very popular. I think he was in, you know, I've seen bits of him. I can't say that I've ever heard his music, but I want to say, is it reggaeton? I want to say it's reggaeton with like a touch more hip hop, I think.
Okay.
But you know, that's the extent of my knowledge of Bad Bunny's music. So I had a problem with this because it's just Sony continuing to milk that Spider-Man related character license because they don't want to give it up because they don't have any other movies and they just don't want to give it back to Marvel. On the other hand, I don't think Marvel would ever put this character out on its own, on their own.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You know, if it wasn't for Sony, you know, in its desperation, trying to put out as much stuff as possible. Now, it makes sense that they would try to do something that appeals to a different demographic. And maybe they'll make some money by drawing in, you know, the Hispanic demographic. You know, at the very least, the Puerto Rican demographic. I don't know, you know, if the character will appeal, you know, maybe because the character does have a lucha libre style mask. Maybe there'll be, you know, Mexican wrestling fans who try to jump in on this. But at the end of the day, you know, maybe they're looking to make up their money on this by appealing to that particular demographic as opposed to just the superhero fan demographic. And surprise, surprise, I actually own this character's first appearance. I was very surprised to see when this character first appeared and to check my collection. I was like, I own this. Oh my God. It's very much like that Digger character that we were talking about earlier. This character has been around for a long time.
Indeed. Yeah, I could go into like, yeah, there's like, yes, that what you said about them trying possibly could be appealing to the Latin market, then yes, or Puerto Rican market could be a thing with this. And I'm thinking these spinoffs, man.
Say again, your mic went out again.
These spinoffs are crazy. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and El Muerto appeared in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #6 in 2006. Holy cow! It's not like even Spider-Gwen, who appeared in the relatively recent, in the last decade. You know what I mean?
And see, that's where I was actually going to go with this. They could have done a Spider-Gwen. I know they had plans for something or other, whatever the case may be. There could have been a Spider-Gwen movie. Could have been a Silk movie going on. Could have been a Spider-Woman movie happening. Like they had other places to go than some offshoot characters, one-off characters.
Right.
So that Silver and Gold, the Silver and Black thing, the Silver Saber Black Cat thing that apparently is gone now. Could have done that.
Yeah. It's Sony though. It's so hard to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, they honestly have one reliable thing, and that's Miles, but they're doing it animated style.
Right.
Because they know it works. That's the thing. Like, it's hard to fault them on that. They know it works. They know people will come to watch that.
Yeah. All right. I'm moving right along before I get depressed.
I'm just as depressed for a different reason because Sony won't give it up. They put out Morbius and just enough people went to see it for them to be like, hey, let's keep it going. Let's keep this train rolling.
Yeah.
You know, apparently Sony just, you know what they can't do?
You can't handle the truth.
No, I'm not trying to give
You know
up
what I'm
the
saying?
cash cow. Yeah.
So, all right, moving on. Oh, is it my turn?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, with the El Muerto. The next Venom and Ghostbusters film were officially announced at CinemaCon. So while there were not many details given, Sony also officially announced the next Venom and Ghostbusters films. No release dates were given, but they were confirmed in a sizzle reel from Sony that also shared a few seconds of footage from Kraven the Hunter. Again with the Sony Marvel license.
Yeah. Young Justice reveals a major Green Lantern the animated series connection. This is a spoiler for the most recent episode, apparently. So there was
so fine, but it's okay. Spoil the hell out of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't know this character anyway. So, and I never watched that Green Lantern thing. It's on HBO Max. I guess I could, but apparently, the character of Razor, which was an original character that was made for the Green Lantern animated series, shows up in Young Justice. So, yeah. I agree. Yeah. So apparently he was a Red Lantern who became a red and blue hybrid lantern.
I mean, was he, saying say hello to the bad guy? Rest in peace, Razor Ramon.
Yes. But I have no idea. I saw a picture of this character and I'm like, oh, okay, sure, if you say so. So yeah, there you go. There's that. I'm sure there's somebody who watched that Green Lantern show and know who that is. So, next up.
DC Showcase. Constantine, the House of Mystery, is out this May on Blu-ray. The new release contains 4 animated shorts: Kamandi, The Last Boy on Earth, The Losers, and Blue Beetle. And in its public debut, Constantine, the House of Mystery. Okay. Let's see here. So these are all shorts. The Losers is not the one with who's in that Losers movie?
Idris Elba, Chris Evans,
yes,
Zoe Saldana, pretty much Marvel staples at this point, with the exception of
right. Yeah, that was the reimagined future or like current time version. This is the original World War II version of the Losers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. So yeah, this is available on Blu-ray on May 2nd with digital download on May 3rd. And I'm looking for a price, but it doesn't have one.
It's probably like 20.
Yeah, 20, 25, something like that.
Yeah. So next up,
Obi-Wan
Kenobi director explains why Darth Maul was never put a part of the series. So speaking with Total Film, Deborah Chow spoke to recently debunked rumors that Darth Maul was axed from the final cut of the series. Quote, as long as I've been involved, we've never had Darth Maul in any of it, explained Chow. Dave Filoni did a wonderful job telling that story already. Likely referring to Maul's story arcs in both Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and Rebels. Excuse me. So yeah, apparently people were saying that Darth Maul may or may not appear in Obi-Wan Kenobi for another run, and that is not the case. And Deborah Chow's like, nah, we had no plans for it. Next up.
That's fine by me.
Yeah,
I agree with her take.
Yeah,
that that Filoni told Maul's story, to completion. Spoiler alert for Clone Wars.
Right, maybe went a little farther than it needed to.
Rebels.
This is me. Yeah, Rebels.
Yeah, Rebels. So, well, we have to include the. Did you finished all of Clone Wars, right? Even the new stuff.
Not the new stuff, but yes, I did
Oh,
finish.
I was about to say you got to finish the new stuff
Yeah,
because
no,
that's
because I know
what
he shows
that's
up
what I was
again.
thinking of.
Right, because he shows up again.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I know.
So, but next up, the next Star Wars animated anthology is called Tales of the Jedi. If Star Wars Visions is any indication, we're apparently in for a treat, and that is editorializing on the part of GameSpot. Let's see here. Lucasfilm is working on another animated anthology, according to a panel description from the upcoming Star Wars Celebration event. On Saturday, May 28th at 2:30 p.m., author Amy Ratcliffe and Lucasfilm Creative Executive Director Dave Filoni will host a panel for Tales of the Jedi, which the official panel listing describes as Tales of the Jedi Animated Anthology Shorts. The description does not offer any other details about the anthology aside from those 3 words. It could be a direct successor to Star Wars Visions, or it could be something completely different, and we don't know. So we'll see.
Shout out to Stevie Wonder for these 3 words. Yeah. So the reason why this wasn't in or nearing the anime section is because we don't, as this article says, we don't know if it's going to be like Visions or they're going to go through it with a new art style or something. But I guess we'll find out then how that's going to turn out or what they're going to do. Fremantle, graphic novel publisher AWA Studios strikes development deal for TV projects. So Fremantle has struck a strategic development deal with AWA Studios, that's artists, writers, and artisans, that will allow Fremantle to collaborate and develop a slate of TV projects based on AWA's expanding IP library. The graphic fiction publisher and entertainment studio was founded in 2018 by Marvel alumni Bill Jemas and Axel Alonso and John Miller. Under the pact, the 2 companies will collaborate closely on all aspects, quote unquote, of the partnership, with Fremantle leading on basically putting up the money. So, cool. Good for them. I don't know what AWA. Well, I guess we have talked about some AWA stuff sometime in the past, but good on them. Next up.
Oh, I get the great news. John Wick 4 unveils first look at Keanu Reeves' return. A new promotional image for John Wick Chapter 4 features the return of Keanu Reeves' eponymous assassin, armed with a gun as flowers fall all over him. So this was at CinemaCon 2022. This is actually, we have the full title of the movie right now. It's John Wick Chapter 4 Hagakure. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's actually the title of a book of it's not a memoir per se, but it's a book by Yamamoto Tsunetomo, and it's about samurai, and it's a spiritual guide for a warrior. I've actually I think I own a copy of it and still haven't cracked it open on my Kindle. So,
I mean, it's no Ghost Dog the Way of the Samurai, but
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And it's also not that Gwen Stefani thing. So, I'm just going to keep moving.
I'm just happy to see that, John Wick is it's weird because Parabellum. Did you watch all the way through to Parabellum?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a little bit of sidetracking here, but the John Wick franchise gets so violent in 3. It's like, so where did they go for 4? But then they did, there's a big twist in the story in 3, and I think that's what they're going to play off of.
Yes.
For 4 and going forward.
Yes. Much like another franchise that we will talk about in a few. Yep. Warner Brothers and J.J. Abrams are working on a live-action Hot Wheels movie. Let that sink in. Hot Wheels.
It's leading the way.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. But yeah, J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot is partnering with Warner Brothers live action. There's apparently, yeah. There's really nothing much to say about that. There's a press release, And as the film is described as a showcase of some of the world's hottest and sleekest cars, monster trucks, and motorcycles. Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels.
Leading the way, folks.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. You know what? Just let that sink in. Keep it, and we're gonna go from there with.
So Margot Robbie's Barbie sets the 2023 release date and unveils a first look photo. So Barbie's parking her pink convertible in U.S. theaters on July 21st, 2023. Margot Robbie plays the titular role, and the movie has a star-studded supporting cast. That's crazy. It has Ryan Gosling, Kate McKinnon, Alexandra Shipp, America Ferrera, Simu Liu, and just like that, actor Hari Nef and Will Ferrell also co-star in the reimagining of Barbie's world, and it's directed by Greta Gerwig.
Yep, she's a Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna sing the rest of it.
Yeah, and it's also she Greta Gerwig, I have to note, also co-wrote the script with her partner Noah Baumbach. These are all like really, these creators have a very strong indie reputation.
Right.
So it's interesting because you're going to have to guess that this is not going to be a straight play on Barbie. There's going to be some subversion. There's going to be some twists that that these indie filmmakers are going to bring to this story.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to be just a popcorn film.
Mm-hmm.
Although it may indirectly be. Justin Lin is exiting the director's chair of Fast X, aka Fast 10, but he will remain as producer. So yeah, apparently filming has already been underway, and this came out like a day or two of this recording. I did see, well, that might have been another news story of a similar thing from someplace else, but there was a picture of Vin Diesel and Justin Lin together, and somebody was like, Justin Lin looked like he was being held hostage, like right with so that was kind of funny. But yeah, so apparently they are parting ways, Justin Lin and Fast and Furious franchise, for creative differences. 10 to get you 20 probably has something to do with Vin Diesel, but that's just
I was about to say that's a sucker bet.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were going to mention that.
Oh,
I was going to add on his commentary. So if you have anything else to add to the story, go on, and then I'll jump in with commentary.
So it says, I'll just read his quote here. It says, with the support of Universal, I've made the difficult decision to step back as director of Fast X while remaining with the project as producer. And he goes on to say, over 10 years and 5 films, we've been able to shoot the best actors, the best stunts, and the best damn car chases. On a personal note, as a child of Asian immigrants, I'm proud of helping to build the most diverse franchise in movie history. I will forever be grateful to the amazing cast, crew, and studio for their support and welcoming me into the Fast family. End quote.
Right. That's all nice. All well and good. All well and good.
Mm-hmm.
I have now zero hope for this franchise if Justin Lin is not directing.
I mean, there's not much left. There's only this movie and the next movie, right? So it's
right.
Yeah, so
right. But at least we were, at least with Justin Lin at the helm, we at least have the hope of a cohesive ending. It may not make a lot of sense, but at least be cohesive.
I mean, he'll still have some say. He's still producing, so he'll, but
yeah, but he's not directing.
I know,
right?
I know.
That creative differences, and there's only one person that everyone on this franchise seems to have creative differences with.
Mm-hmm.
One person.
Mm-hmm.
One.
Mm-hmm.
One person, folks. You don't have to guess. Roddykat already said who it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just mind-boggling to me. I'm like, how, like what part of this dude doesn't get that, you have to get along with folks that, maybe these folks have the franchise's best interests at heart. Maybe they're the ones who are right and you're not.
Or could now, to be fair, could be the other way around.
It could, but I doubt it.
I'm not holding out that being the case, but there is a chance that it could be, could be the other way around. So
right, and you know, and as a fan of the series as a whole, and obviously, you know, Justin Lin could not save Fast 9. You know, he couldn't do it. You know, Fast 9 was just Fast 9.
Yeah.
But it was nice seeing, you know, like all the characters come back. But you know, it was my hope that he was going to finish out the ending trilogy of 10 and 10.5.
Right.
You know, but it's going to be tough for me to kind of stomach this now.
I mean, let's face it, and I know what I'm about to say is sacrilege, and I also love these films, but let's face it, these movies are not high art. These are pretty much dumb popcorn, fun, blockbustery, you know, dumb popcorn movies. Stress the fact, fun, but you know, I wasn't expect. F9 was pretty much how I expected it, just given the rest of them.
Yeah, your mic is going out again.
Well, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, I'm not expecting that much out of the next two either way, even with Justin Lin was a part of them. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's just there. That definitely gives me pause.
Right.
It gives me pause, and obviously it kind of lends more credence to what The Rock said about his departure from the franchise.
Yeah, true.
So, all right, next up, Ghost in the Shell, SAC_2045 movie drops a new trailer for its Netflix debut. So if you are still paying for your Netflix subscription or have someone else's password, Netflix has dropped an official trailer for Ghost in the Shell, SAC_2045, Sustainable War, which reimagines Ghost in the Shell, SAC 2045 Season 1 as a movie. Okay.
You've never watched Standalone Complex?
Nope. I've watched the original Ghost in the Shell. That's it.
Right. Wait, yeah, because there was that. Then they had another movie, Innocence, and then they had a TV show called Standalone Complex, and that went like 2 seasons or something like that. And then this is like prequels or something like that. I can't remember what the hell. But yeah, I have not watched none of these Netflix ones, but all I will say is like, hey, we are now firmly implanted in Anime Corner, by the way.
Oh, well, look at that. Give me a second.
Indeed. Dragon Ball Super teases Red Ribbon Army's mysterious super weapon. It looks like the Death Star. But a new magazine preview once again hints that the Red Ribbon Army have another secret up their sleeves in Dragon Ball Superhero. The latest issue of Manga magazine V-Jump provides another look at the latest Dragon Ball movie. The preview pages were scanned by Twitter folks. Let's just say they're Dragon Ball Super fans. I'm not even going to give the thing, or fans. I don't know about how super they are, but hey. Anyway, in addition to going over Piccolo's new transformation and his undercover mission at the Red Ribbon Army headquarters, the magazine once again discussed the mysterious machine at the center of the Red Ribbon's Army's new base, which is apparently preparing another threat to the Earth's heroes besides the 2 new android warriors. So yeah, that's it. Next up. Yes.
There it is. All right, next up. So, Wit Studio, the company behind the Attack on Titan's first 3 seasons and newer hits like Spy X Family, celebrates its 10th anniversary, and it announced a special anniversary exhibition. The announcement was posted alongside art of characters from some of Wit Studio's most famous works, including Vivi, Fluorite Eyes' Song, The Great Pretender, a bunch of stuff I don't recognize, and the studio's newest hit, the anime adaptation of Spy X Family, which is being produced in collaboration with Cloverworks. I have not watched Spy X Family yet. Have you?
Yes, it's good. I like it. I even read a couple of chapters of the manga, which it pretty much ripped pretty directly from. So far anyway. It's only 3. Actually, I haven't watched the most recent. I think it's 3 episodes. I've watched 2, so it's good. It's funny. Ranking of Kings is another one I know people like. I have heard people like, but I've never seen it myself. That the studio also does, so that's cool. Next up, Black Clover goes on. Oh, we're going over into comic book news, but we're still staying in the anime corner.
Yes, sir.
Well, the whole of justice.
Black Clover goes on hiatus to prepare for a series finale. So, according to a report by Weekly Shonen Jump News, unofficially, well, it says unofficial, the latest issue of Weekly Shonen Jump confirms that the popular fantasy series will take a 3-month hiatus to allow creator Yuki Tabata time to rest and prepare for the series' last act. In a statement published in the magazine, Tabata confirms that the series' next story arc will indeed be its last. And states that the creators originally did not want to take a break on the series, but Shonen Jump's editorial team advised him to do so because mangaka can burn out, and you don't want that. So that's good, regardless of which way it went. Normally, you would think it would have gone the other way around. But regardless, a return date for the series has not been announced, but the hiatus is expected to last 3 months.
Next up, the May issue of Square Enix's Big Gangan magazine revealed on Monday that both the Star Wars Visions anthology anime and the Mandalorian spin-off series for the Star Wars franchise will have manga adaptations that will debut in the magazine's next issue on May 25th. So that is next month for people who want to see if they can obtain a copy of this.
Speaking of Star Wars news, check out the Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2022 battle schedule. So yeah, it's out there on StarWars.com. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure a lot of people have seen it behind. If you did not know, Star Wars Celebration is their their yearly one of their, actually, because there's 2, but one of their yearly Star Wars based conventions. A lot of news usually comes out of there, and this one should be no exception. The aforementioned news about that the Star Wars anthology is among the panels listed here, and of course there's a bunch of other which I won't go through, but it's some stuff that I'm sure people will love to see. Next up, Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary. Oh god. Anyway, next up,
Strangers in Paradise spin-off Parker Girls has been announced. After weeks of speculation, award-winning cartoonist Tiar-mory has officially announced that his next comic book project will be Parker Girls, a spin-off of his long-running series Strangers in Paradise. Moore released the covers of the series' first issue featuring a woman on a beach, her skirt parting to depict the Parker Lily, a tattoo of a lily that the Darcy Parker's criminal underlings, the Parker Girls, were forced to get in Strangers in Paradise, suggesting that the spin-off will be set in the world of organized crime. Who the main characters will be and whether they will be characters fans already know is not yet clear. Okay.
She's a Parker girl in a Parker world.
Oh, that's the second time you used that particular reference.
You're welcome. Guess spoiler alert for last week's Booster Blue and Gold. So Booster Gold's longest running mystery is finally solved. It has something to do with the Black Beetle. I have not been reading that book, so I have no idea. I know who Black Beetle is, but I don't know what they would have to do. Well, I guess because of Blue Beetle. Duh. So sure. There you go. You can read that at your leisure though. Next.
All right, let's see here. Green Arrow's son Connor Hawke is set to come out as asexual in the new DC Pride comic. So in the upcoming DC Pride 2022 anthology, Connor Hawke is going to come out as asexual. A new report from them confirms that a story involving Connor Hawke, the son of Oliver Queen, Green Arrow, and the second person to hold the Green Arrow mantle, will appear in DC Pride 2022. The story, which will be titled Think of Me, will be structured around Connor composing a coming out letter to his mother in which he reveals he is asexual. Okay.
Sure. Speaking of DC Pride 2022 will make an iconic animated Batman villain canon. And that would be the villain Music Meister. So apparently it has to do...
Wait a second.
Who?
So apparently, as it turns out, that is connected to that last story, and it's going to be juxtaposed with a fight with Connor Hawke. So I guess that's going to be the part of that. It says here that Music Meister made his debut in Batman the Brave and Bold, which I've never seen, portrayed by Neil Patrick Harris. And it goes on from there to go through that character's history. Cool. Next
up, Harley Quinn is about to help launch a brand new DC team in Shadow War Zone #1. This team appears to include Black Manta, Deathstroke, Poison Ivy, and Gorilla Grodd. Okay, so was that Shadow War Zone out this week?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But
it's set to release next month, May 17th.
Yeah. Also,
I mean, next month is next week, so in a few weeks.
Sure. Yeah. Also, that just sounds like the Legion of Doom mostly, with Harley Quinn attached.
Mm-hmm.
DC to publish round robin contest finalists as short stories. So yeah, we've talked about DC's round robin tournament at least last week I think we did. And apparently, let's see, it was revealed that DC will be publishing 6-page short stories for 4 of the finalists that did not make it to round 3 of the voting. Ghost Tour from Hell, Hawkman and Hawkwoman, The Changeling, Kid Flash, The Speed of Fear, and Green Lantern Birth of a Conspiracy. Sounds like all of them are getting short stories coming up. Says the news was announced during a Q&A during DC's round robin editors, with confirmation that more news regarding the contest as a whole is also to come, which I guess we can go to the next story.
All right. DC resurrects Blue Beetle's round robin 2021 title. Okay. DC is bringing back one of the round robin 2021 titles, Blue Beetle Graduation Day, after it made it to the final 4 of last year's competition. The editorial team behind DC's round robin tournament recently hosted a question and answer session on DC Community during the forum. The team says that nothing's really lost forever. Okay.
Sure. I mean, if you got a story that's already done,
right, it'll come out. They can put it out eventually, especially to fill in any kind of gaps in the schedule.
Exactly. Assuming it's in some state of being done, because I don't know how a lot of that round robin stuff is, if it's already finished or.
Right. My understanding is that they were pitches.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't know how complete they are, but if the pitches, still valid, right, given the whatever the current state of continuity is, then why not, right?
Right, exactly. One last bit of round robin news in that it comes down to 2 now. It's Suicide Squad Dark versus Superboy in the final round. So yeah, it says basically goes through what happened in the semifinal round, but like I said, these are the only 2 books next left. And I guess we'll find out who's going to win in win the whole thing soon. Probably within the next day or so. I don't know when the final is going to be judged. Actually, I probably said. Let's see. Nope, it doesn't say. Next up.
All right, so the folks at Manly Bands have teamed up with DC Comics to create a series of wedding bands based on their most iconic characters. Oh, yeah. Soon you'll be able to say I do, and also swear your everlasting love to Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, and the Joker. The Joker, really?
Yeah, no, that one was a
Rings.
weird one.
You know, oddly enough, the iconic DC hero most associated with wearing a ring, Green Lantern, is not among the options.
I said.
That's just, you know what?
I'm like, because the matter of fact, I said on Twitter, I was like, I guess I was too on the nose. Like, that was a missed opportunity. Like, why would you not do the Green Lantern ring?
Seriously, like, you have a Joker one and not Green Lantern? Really? You have an Aquaman one and not Green Lantern. That's just wild.
Right. Although that Batman one doesn't look too terrible. So, but I don't wear a ring, so it doesn't matter either way.
Unbelievable. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, Toy Corner. Blackest Night action figure from Fallen Toys available for pre-order. So apparently there are 4 Blackest Night Build-A-Figures available for pre-order as of this recording. These wave of figures features Kyle Rayner, Superman, Batman, and Deathstorm. And they're based on their look in the comics for comic arc Blackest Night. So each figure includes 1 of 4 pieces, and then you know how Build-A-Figures work. And apparently the Build-A-Figure will end up being Atrocitus of the Red Lanterns. And you can see there's Kyle Rayner's figure with accoutrement. There's Cyborg Superman, or excuse me, not Cyborg, Black Lantern Superman. There's that looks like Zombie Batman. I don't know what the hell that is. And then of course Deathstorm. So yeah, there you go. And there are are there prices? There are prices there. I don't see prices, but they're probably out there somewhere. Next up,
Lego has announced the Luke Skywalker Landspeeder Ultimate Collector Series set, retailing for $199. The set comes with 1,890 pieces and recreates Luke's X-34 Landspeeder from Star Wars A New Hope. It will be available to Lego VIP members from May 1st, while its full launch online and in stores is on Star Wars Day itself, May 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
The set does come, yes, the set, may the 4th be with you. The set comes with 2 minifigures, Luke Skywalker, and an exclusive C-3PO minifigure with 2K molded legs and a side print. Okay, whatever that means.
Sounds dirty. Anywho, hey, there's a Doctor Doom, there's a Doctor Doom 1/12 collective action figure that is on sale for pre-order, right now from, is it Hot Toys? Doesn't say. Regardless, it's $155. And yes, it is on pre-order. What's this? Mezco? Yeah, Mezco.
Oh yeah, Mezco.
Yeah. And the article shows what comes with, which is a bunch of stuff. Have at it. Next up.
Yeah, I was about to say 1/12 is essentially 6-inch.
Right.
So these are relatively in scale with Marvel Legends. So, Hot Toys are not. But these Mezco figures are relatively in scale with Marvel Legends, and this particular figure has like some cool like gadgets, and it comes with like a spell book, and whatnot. But that's a high price to pay for like a super fancy Marvel Legend.
Yeah. I mean, not bad.
Alrighty, next up. I'm sorry?
Not bad looking though. So
yeah, it's definitely not. Next up, Marvel's X-Men go grindhouse in a new series starring Wolverine, Dazzler, and more. Dazzler, Jubilee, Wolverine, and Boom Boom will star in Marvel's new 5-issue Exterminator series from Leah Williams and Carlos Gomez. In yet another reinvention of an old 80s/90s X title and X story, because the Exterminators were it was a team in a short-lived miniseries from, I want to say, the late 80s, early 90s.
So they came out of, basically kind of came out of X Factor, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, but that series that they were in, wasn't that tied into Inferno?
Yes.
That's why I wasn't sure if it was late 80s, early 90s.
Right. And
so 4 of Marvel's X, sorry?
No, I was about to say, and I think only one of those people mentioned had anything to do with the original team.
Right, so 4 of Marvel's X-Men are about to go on a grindhouse-influenced trip involving blood, sweat, and revenge in a new 5-issue limited series, Exterminators. So yeah, it's Dazzler, Jubilee, Wolverine, and Boom Boom. Yeah, Boom Boom is the one person that was on the Exterminators.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Okay, so the series is said to be influenced by grindhouse films, meaning fans can expect it to be full of all kinds of bloodshed and exploitation. Goodness gracious.
Which also is kind of weird from, like, I would dare say 2 of them, because first of all, you got 2 of them with a similar-ish power set, and neither one of them are, or as far as I remember, have been down to get dirty.
Right. Well, this is also Laura. This is Laura Wolverine, not Logan Wolverine.
Well, no. I meant like Dazzler and Jubilee.
Right. No, that I get. I just wanted to mention that it's Laura Wolverine, not Logan Wolverine.
Right. Oh no, we know she's down to get dirty. So, but next up, Predator comes to Marvel Comics this summer, which I feel like we already knew that. But hey, I'm just in case you didn't know. Well, I know we talked about it initially because we knew in the past the alien stuff. Which, by the way, Happy Alien Day, I guess, happened recently. But yeah, it was almost 2 years ago that Marvel Comics reveals plans for Aliens and Predators franchises to come in. There were delays. There was supposed to be a movie prequel. I guess that is still coming. But there is going to be a Predator book from the creator team of Ed Brisson and Kev Walker, which, sure, that makes total sense there. The series has a July 6th release date, but it was originally solicited for June 2021, and it only the delay happened because they just settled the lawsuit in January of this year. So yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much. You can see the Lionel Francis Yu cover right there. Boom. Last but not least,
Devil's Reign Omega gives us a first look, and it teases Marvel's new Thunderbolts team. So the event is over, but there's still plenty of fallout to come from the Daredevil-centric event. Luke Cage, spoiler alert for Devil's Reign. Luke Cage is replacing Wilson Fisk as the new mayor of New York City, and one of his first tasks will be reclaiming the Thunderbolts name and appointing Hawkeye as the team's new leader. So those are 2 characters who have close ties to the Thunderbolt legacy. Both Luke Cage and Hawkeye have both led versions of the Thunderbolts in the past.
Mm-hmm.
A Thunderbolts miniseries is on the way from writer Jim Zub and artist Sean Isaacs, with Hawkeye leading America Chavez, Spectrum, the younger Power Man, Persuasion, who is the Purple Man's daughter, and a new character named Guts and Glory.
Sure, half of that team sounds like a good mix.
Yeah, Devil's Reign Omega #1 does not come out until May 25th, so it's going to be a little while.
Mm-hmm. And that, folks, is the news. You don't have anything for Toy Corner or anything, do you?
No, not at the moment.
All right, well, then you got one last ad read to take us out.
Our last ad read of the night is for Wink, your personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Have you ever tried an orange wine? It's that time of the year. Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today.
And that. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, I do have something real quick.
Roddykat has something for Toy Corner.
Well, not necessarily. Well, I guess kind of, sort of, not really. But hey, remember we talked about the playtest book for that Marvel RPG, the tabletop RPG? I got a copy.
Nice.
Little hands here. I got it a couple of days after we aired. Looks pretty good so far. I think I got a couple of people that might want to play test it for me, but I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm trying to read it and try to see what it is about it. But it looks good. So we'll see if anything comes of that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, but
have fun.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see what happens with that.
Right.
But with that,
so before
folks,
we get into the closing of the show, I wanted to remind everyone about Movie Protocol next week.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best time to do it. Next week, we are going on Movie Protocol, so we will be recording on a different day, more likely than not, Friday or Saturday, depending on our schedules. We will be, or at least I'll be watching Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness Thursday evening. Roddykat's schedule may change, and he may be watching it over the weekend, so maybe Saturday won't fit. Maybe Friday will fit. We'll see what his schedule is like. But due to the movie dropping next week, we won't have a show recording on Thursday evening, so that pushes our schedules back. I wanted to remind everyone, please be kind. If you, like me, are watching Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness on the earlier side of the weekend, let's say premiere night, or I think it's called previews night still, the Thursday night.
Sure.
Or if you're watching an opening night, please, please, please do not spoil it for people who are watching it after you. Not everyone is able to watch it Thursday night. Not everyone is able to watch it opening night. Some people have to watch these things over the weekend or even later.
Right.
So with that in mind, please, please, please do not spoil this movie for other people, even by accident. Be mindful of that. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. There is a 2%, 10% chance that there might be a solo show to next week, but don't hold me to it. But basically, movie protocol will be in effect regardless. So with that, folks, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News and Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PC_dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, and the popculturenetwork.com and all those umbrella sites therein. And Tim DOGG98 on Twitter. The Osiris that is ish. CB Cron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. The Kliq Nation on Twitter. Also thekliqnation.com. But also comicbook.com, where he's over there writing his face off. You can find this here podcast on the Coast of the Podcast Network. That's cspn.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast browser place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coast of the Podcast Network SoundCloud page. You could also find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30ish p.m. with the exception of next week, like we said, on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/thekliqnation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and leave us good reviews.
Yeah. And with that, folks, we will leave you. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.